The air in Burma was thick with heat and the sounds of war, a constant heavy blanket pressing down on everyone. Amidst the chaos of the Second World War, a young British soldier found himself fighting a battle far from the front lines. This wasn't a fight against a visible enemy with guns and tanks, it was a silent internal war against a crushing wave of despair. News had arrived from home, and it was not good. The letter he held felt heavier than his rifle, its words stealing the strength from his limbs and the light from his eyes. He felt utterly alone, a single forgotten soul lost in a vast and unforgiving jungle, thousands of miles from anyone who knew his name. His commander, Field Marshal William Slim, was a man who understood that the morale of his soldiers was as crucial as their ammunition. He noticed the change in this young man. He saw the slumped shoulders, the vacant stare, and the profound sadness that had settled over him like a shroud. The soldier was physically present, performing his duties, but his spirit had retreated to a place of deep sorrow. The field marshal knew that a soldier lost to despair was a casualty, just as surely as one struck by a bullet. He recognized the urgent need for intervention, for a lifeline to be thrown to this man drowning in a sea of heartache and loneliness. Compassion moved the commander to act. He couldn't personally sit with every soldier, but he knew who should. He summoned his senior chaplain, a man whose very role was to tend to the spiritual and emotional wounds of the troops. The field marshal explained the situation with a sense of urgency. He described the soldier's despondent state and the bad news that had triggered it. He instructed the chaplain to send one of his best people, someone kind and empathetic, to go and sit with the young man. The order was simple: go to him, talk to him, and offer him some comfort. It was a mission of hope, an attempt to mend a broken spirit. The weight of the world seemed to rest on this soldier's young shoulders. Each day felt like an insurmountable mountain he was forced to climb, only to find another, taller one waiting the next day. The vibrant greens of the jungle seemed to mock his own inner grayness. The camaraderie of his fellow soldiers, usually a source of strength, now felt distant, as if he were watching them through a thick pane of glass. He was trapped in his own private world of pain, and the cheerful banter and shared jokes of his comrades couldn't penetrate the walls he had built around his heart. He was adrift and desperately needed an anchor in the storm. Following the commander's orders, a kind-hearted chaplain went to find the lonely soldier. He was a good man, with a gentle voice and a warm smile, genuinely wanting to help. He found the young man sitting alone, staring into the distance. The chaplain sat down beside him, not as a superior officer but as a friend. He listened patiently as the soldier spoke of his troubles, his words tumbling out in a mixture of sadness and frustration. The chaplain offered a sympathetic ear, nodding and affirming the young man's feelings. He poured him a cup of hot tea from his flask, a small gesture of warmth and care in the damp, oppressive heat of the campaign. They sat together for a long while, the steam from the tea mingling with the humid air. The chaplain spoke words of encouragement. He told the soldier that he was strong, that these feelings would eventually pass, and that he was a valued member of the unit. He reminded him of his duty and the importance of the cause they were fighting for. All of his words were true and well-intentioned. He was doing exactly what he thought was best, offering human kindness and a listening ear to someone who was clearly suffering. From the outside, it looked like a perfect picture of compassionate care, a moment of solace in the midst of turmoil. Later, Field Marshal Slim asked his senior chaplain for a report. "Did your man go and see that soldier?" he inquired. The senior chaplain confirmed that he had, explaining that the staff member had spent a good amount of time with the despondent young man. He had been very kind, listened to his story, and even shared a comforting cup of tea with him. The senior chaplain seemed pleased with the effort, believing that the right thing had been done. He expected the field marshal to share his satisfaction, to be content that the soldier had been given some attention and a measure of human comfort in his moment of need. But the field marshal was not satisfied. A frown creased his brow as he listened to the report. "Yes," he replied, his voice tinged with disappointment. "I'm sure he was very nice. I'm sure he was very kind." Then he leaned in, his gaze intense, and delivered a powerful truth. But he didn't do his job. He let that boy look at him, but he failed to show him the one thing he needed to see. The commander paused before finishing his thought. He failed to show him the man on the cross. The kindness was good, but it was incomplete. It was a temporary bandage when what the soldier's soul truly needed was a cure. What did the commander mean? Why was seeing the man on the cross so important? Field Marshal Slim understood a fundamental truth about the human heart. While a cup of tea and a kind word can offer temporary relief, they cannot reach the deepest parts of our sorrow. They are like a small snack when we are starving for a real meal. Our souls have a profound hunger for something more, a hunger for hope, for meaning, and for the assurance that we are not alone in our suffering. This is a basic need, as real and as urgent as our need for food and water. We need to know that someone understands our pain on the deepest level. This is where the words of Jesus Christ bring such powerful light and hope. In the Gospel of John, Jesus makes a simple yet profound declaration. He says, "I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst." Think about what bread is. For thousands of years it has been a basic, essential food that sustains life. It's not a luxury or a dessert. It's the very staff of life. When Jesus calls himself the bread of life, he is telling us that he is absolutely essential for our spiritual survival. He is the one who can satisfy the deepest hungers of our hearts. Imagine you are lost in a desert, desperate for water. A friend might offer you a comforting pat on the back, but what you truly need is a drink. In the same way, when we are lost in a desert of loneliness, worry, or grief, human sympathy is helpful, but it cannot quench our soul's thirst. Jesus offers us living water. When we are starving for hope, he offers us the bread of life. He doesn't just offer advice or temporary relief, he offers himself. He provides the very substance of hope, peace, and enduring strength that we need to get through the most difficult times in our lives. The soldier in Burma needed to see the man on the cross because, in that image, he would have seen God himself entering into human suffering. He would have seen that he was not alone in his pain. The cross shows us a God who understands rejection, betrayal, and agony. It tells us that our deepest hurts are known and carried by the one who created us. Looking to the cross is not about dwelling on pain. It's about finding the ultimate source of comfort and strength. It is there we find the bread that truly satisfies our spiritual hunger, and the water that quenches our spiritual thirst forever. Life will inevitably bring us to our own Burma campaigns. We will all face moments of bad news, deep loneliness, or overwhelming anxiety. We will all find ourselves in desolate places where our strength fails and our hope wears thin. In those times, the kindness of friends and family will be a wonderful gift, a cup of tea in our personal wilderness. We should welcome it and be grateful for it, but we must remember that human comfort, as precious as it is, has its limits. It can soothe the surface, but it often cannot heal the deep wounds within our souls. We need something more substantial to sustain us through the trial. This is why we must learn to look beyond the temporary help and fix our eyes on the eternal hope. We must look to the man on the cross. We must turn to Jesus. He is the one who offers sustenance that lasts. He promises that if we come to him, we will find what our souls are truly crying out for. When you feel a hunger for peace in the midst of chaos, remember that he is the bread of life. When you feel a thirst for assurance in a world of uncertainty, remember that he offers living water. His comfort is not a temporary distraction. It is a deep, abiding presence that strengthens us from the inside out. Building a relationship with Jesus is like learning to rely on a source of food that never runs out. It means talking to him in prayer, telling him about your fears and your sorrows, just as you would a trusted friend. It means reading his words in the Bible and allowing them to become your daily bread, nourishing your spirit and renewing your mind. It means trusting that even when you cannot see a way forward, he is with you, guiding you and holding you. It's in this daily reliance that we find our hunger for hope being satisfied, one day at a time. It's how we get through this. So today, if you are that soldier in the jungle feeling lost and alone, I encourage you to look up. Look past the kind gestures and well-meaning words that, while helpful, cannot fully heal you. Lift your eyes to the cross. See the love that was poured out for you. See the God who understands your pain. Reach out for the bread of life. He is the one your heart has been searching for. He is the ultimate answer to your deepest needs, the true source of lasting comfort, unshakable hope, and perfect peace. You don't have to hunger anymore.